So, what makes us fall in love with certain characters? Maybe it's their personality, maybe it's their design, maybe it's their overall appeal or relatability. Whatever it is, there's always many different factors as to what makes us love a fictional character or what makes the character very likable. Anything. And I have lots of favorite characters in media, but one of the many things I love about certain characters is their designs. Oftentimes, just the design alone on a character is enough to draw me in. I mean, Gigan is my favorite character in all of fiction, after all. So that's what I want to talk about today in particular, because it plays a crucial part in this discussion. There's one particular character design that I've always loved since I was a kid, and that's the one-eyed character, the Cyclops, or whatever you call them. I mean, they're not all Cyclopses, but you know what I mean. That character. Whether it's a character wearing an eye patch or a character who physically has one eye only, I found myself falling in love with these type of characters almost every time, no matter what franchise I'm indulging in. There's just something about these guys that really appeal to me. And you might ask yourself, what exactly is it about them that appeals to me? I mean, I myself have two eyes, so there's no way I could relate to characters like these, right? Well, that's not really the case. One of the many things I love about these characters is what they're capable of doing and accomplishing within a story, regardless of them having what some might call a physical defect. These characters tend to be some of the most downright badass and menacing characters in their own stories they're in, and the fact is, these guys can more often than not, see what's right in front of them better than characters with two or more eyes can. Oftentimes, these guys know how to get shit done in a story. They don't mess around, they know what they want and they chase after it willingly. That's not to say all of them do, but these guys often know how to clean up better than the others around them do. And not only can they be very badass, they can also be very wise characters who hold up a lot of knowledge and can often help the other characters in their journey. Another thing I love about them is how menacing they can be within a story. Now, this often applies to villains most of the time. The Cyclops villains. Their design alone makes them terrifying characters, already giving them such an imposing and iconic look. And when these guys go all out in the story, they really know how to make people fear them, how to make people bow to them. Eat your heart out, Morgana. God, I hate this movie so much, but we're getting off topic here. Now, again, as I keep stating, their design is another awesome thing about them. Their design can either be something that makes them look even more badass or frightening, or it makes them look funnier and adds to the goofiness of their character depending on the story we're talking about. And some of these characters even do both at the same time. Take Bill Cipher from Gravity Falls. This guy knows how to be funny one moment and then utterly terrifying the next. Even Plankton from SpongeBob pulls this off so well. One minute he's just a lovable goofball, or a guy you feel sympathy for. Next thing you know, he fucking conquers the ocean. Now, I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about one particular character in this video. Gigan! Yeah, like I mentioned before, this guy is my favorite character of all time. If I haven't already made that so blatantly obvious in my channel. But what is it about this character I love so much? Well, like I said before, the first thing that drew me into this character is his design alone. I mean, look at him. Isn't that just the coolest fucking thing you've ever seen? I mean, some people might not agree with me, but to those who do, then you understand right away why I love this character so much. Now, the design alone isn't the only thing I love about him. There's so many things I love about him. I love his role in the movies he's in. He's a very energetic monster and a very unique enemy to Godzilla. And not to mention, he left quite an impact through his debut alone. I mean, he was the first enemy of Godzilla to make him bleed, after all. That doesn't happen very often. Gigan overall has had quite a small amount of screen time in this franchise. I mean, he wasn't even in the Heisei era. Yet he stuck with so many people, including me, for so long. And just by looking at him, you can see why. I will always love this one-eyed menace to society, and I will defend him to the end of time. Now, don't get me wrong, not all one-eyed characters are that great. There's plenty of bad ones out there, that's for sure. And they're definitely not everyone's cup of tea, and I get that. But me personally, if characters had a genre, then this would be my top pick. I mean, you gotta admire what these characters could do when they only have one lens of perspective. Again, some might call it a physical defect, but I personally would call it a badge of awesomeness because that's really what these guys are. Again, most of the time anyway. A lot of times, these guys don't have to speak or utter a single word for me to love them. Just seeing them in action is enough for me to love them so much. I have lots of character archetypes I absolutely love in fiction, but this one just speaks to me the most. Chances are, if your story has a character that only has one eye, I'm probably gonna love that character the most. Again, not all the time, but the chances are pretty high. Good guy or bad guy, it does not matter to me. These guys make awesome heroes and they make awesome villains. They can play the best part of both worlds, and it is such a versatile character design, especially in fantasy and sci fi works. But these characters can exist even in more grounded, realistic stories too, and they can teach us a lot about discipline. We as humans, well, we often complain about the things we don't have, often overlooking what we already do have right in front of us. We all have something to be grateful for in life, and these characters can teach us that lesson masterfully, especially, given that they're missing one thing that most people have, and that's an eye. I could go on about these guys all day long, but I would rather not make this a 24-hour long video, especially knowing how much things like TikTok have shortened people's attention span to the bare minimum. So I'm not going to yap in any way, because I think I've made my point clear. One-eyed characters, eye patch people, cyclopses, other one-eyed things. I love them. I love these guys, and we need more of these characters because I am their number one fan. Maybe, probably, I don't know. Could be a bigger fan out there for all I know. But these characters rock, and I love seeing them done well in any story. So before I go, I'd like to say this. Why has Five Nights at Freddy's never made a Cyclops animatronic? That would be my favorite character by default in this franchise if that were the case. I don't know, maybe Mike can lose an eye in the next movie and become a badass eye patch wearing dude in the third movie. Okay, well, that's it for this video. I'll see you in the next one. See what I did there? Yeah, okay, I'll see myself at the door.